We are following breaking news. The WUSA 9 weather impact team is tracking Hurricane Milton. The Category 4 storm is on a collision course with Florida. These satellite images show just how massive Milton is. Landfall is expected in the next 8 to 12 hours, and Florida's Gulf Coast is already feeling its power. Wanted to give you a live look at the Sunshine Skyway Bridge. This connects St. Petersburg to Bradenton. It is shut down, along with the 3 other bridges that span the Tampa Bay area. The time to evacuate has come and it is gone. Tampa's mayor sending a dire warning that if you stayed behind, you will die. Thank you for joining us on TV and streaming on WUSA 9+. I'm Simone D'Alba. Hurricane Milton is close to making landfall with life-threatening storm surge, winds, and flooding. Let's get right to meteorologist Caitlin McGrath. And Caitlin, I understand that you just received a new advisory and it's really time to shelter in place.
It absolutely is, Simone. We did just get that updated advisory, and Milton is now a Category 3 storm. That is what it was forecast to, I'll say, downgrade to prior to landfall. But like we've been talking about for days, whether it's a 4 or a 3, it doesn't matter. This storm is packing powerful winds. It will be devastating for parts of Florida Gulf Coast. Right now, winds are sustained at 125 miles per hour, gusting up to 175 and just about 100 miles northwest of Fort Myers, Florida, quickly closing in on the Florida Gulf Coast. So landfall is expected later tonight. I think as you're checking in with Topper at 11 o'clock, landfall will be imminent, if not occurring. And then overnight, the storm will continue to progress across the peninsula. By 8 o'clock Thursday morning, still a Category 1 hurricane. This storm is forecast to maintain hurricane strength as it crosses the entire peninsula of Florida, exiting back into the Atlantic through Melbourne, still packing winds of around 85 miles per hour. From there, Milton will continue to weaken as it passes to the south of Bermuda over the weekend as the remnants of Milton. But here's a look at radar. We've been watching radar really carefully all day long. Florida's been feeling the effects of those outer convective bands, and one of the biggest things of note are the number of tornadoes we have seen as a result of the outer bands of Milton. That is very typical when it comes to tropical systems like this. You've got a lot of wind shear, the change in wind speed with direction, but Milton is also interacting with a front just to the north of it, and I do think that is enhancing some of those tornadoes that we're seeing. Right now you can see tornado warnings stretching from just to the north of Miami through Fort Pierce all the way back just to the south of Orlando right now. And I want to show you some of the video that we've seen of these tornadoes, because these are not just your typical quick spin up tornadoes that you oftentimes see associated with these storms. We have seen some really powerful tornadoes ripping through parts of Florida. This video was sent in by Alexander. This was a live look outside from one of the cameras in the Florida DOT. And again, that is a really healthy looking tornado that crossed right across 75. So again, here's a look at the radar. We've already got the flash flood warnings up as well, and conditions are only going to continue to deteriorate here over the next several hours. So as we get closer to about 8 o'clock, the storm approaching that landfall. Landfall is still expected just to the south of Tampa, but there is still time for that track to wiggle in either direction, and that would drastically change how much storm surge is expected and how powerful the winds will be as the storm moves onshore. But as we get closer to landfall, again, we will get a better idea, and right now it is looking like just south of Tampa is where that eye wall will move onshore. As we head into the overnight, we'll still be tracking heavy rain, hurricane force winds, and the tornado threat that will continue into the overnight and early morning hours of Thursday. The good news is this storm is picking up forward motion. By 6 o'clock Thursday morning, the storm already working its way back offshore, and by lunchtime tomorrow, the worst of the weather will be gone and the cleanup will continue. But one thing we've been really keeping a close eye on is the storm surge. The peak storm surge forecast to be between 10 to 15 feet. Meteorologist Michaela Lucero joins us now with a better understanding of what that surge means and what the flooding threat is with Milton.
Yeah, hey there, Caitlin. We have all experienced strong winds and heavy rain, but if you've always lived inland, you may have never experienced storm surge. Now, according to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, or NOAA, storm surge is the consistent leading cause of death during hurricanes. So what is it, and how do places like Tampa prepare for it? Storm surge is when seawater rises higher than normal, usually caused by winds from a storm. Strong winds push water inland, and the stronger the storm, the worse the surge can be. But how can we prepare for this? To learn more, I spoke with Dr. Elizabeth Carter, an environmental engineer who's actively researching floodwater management infrastructure. She explained that there are 3 main types of flooding: fluvial flooding, which happens when rivers flood; pluvial flooding, which is also known as flash flooding; and coastal flooding, better known as storm surge.
A hurricane coming in like this is going to be causing all three types of flooding at the same time. It's going to bring that storm surge with it, and it's going to hit the coast. That is going to be its own thing that we as an engineering community have tried to prepare for. It's going to be dumping lots of rain on the streets and into the storm sewer systems. That's a specific type of flooding that we as an engineering community have tried to prepare for. It's also going to be overwhelming the river systems that are flowing, into the area. So when we have a situation like a hurricane hitting all at once, that's called compound flooding. We're actually having three very distinct mechanisms of flooding happening at the same time.
So storms like Milton and Helene are abnormal in their strength, intensity, and size, making them outliers in the data used to prepare for flooding events. So from an infrastructure perspective, environmental engineers have prepared flood-prone areas the best they can with the resources and data that they have. The current flood mitigation infrastructure is built to withstand the strongest storm that has moved through a certain area. But storms like Milton haven't ever happened before. So the best way to stay safe from the impending storm surge is to evacuate. Caitlin.
All right, Michaela, thank you so much. Some great perspective there. Now, the Weather Impact Team will be staying on top of Milton as the storm continues to approach. Streaming right now on WUSA 9+, we have live coverage from our station in Tampa, Florida, and extended weather updates. You can download WUSA 9+ for Roku, Fire TV, and most streaming platforms.